Dear students, hope all of you are doing well. Today we will going to discuss about the salient features of the Indian Constitution. Every constitution aims to build up a political structure based upon certain principles and ideologies. Some of these principles vary from constitution to constitution. Indian Constitution has its own characteristics. The theory, philosophy, and ideology that influenced the Constitution of India were the result of the ideological background and philosophical knowledge of the members of Constituent Assembly. The most important ideological groups represented the Constituent Assembly were the Socialists, the Gandhians, and the Rightists. The socialist groups were divided into two, the Marxian Socialists and Democratic Socialists. Marxians advocated a evolutionary reconstruction of society, while Democrats wanted to transform society through peaceful parliamentary methods. Both these groups were opposed to the private ownership of the important means of production. The rightist group supported the interests of bourgeoisie and landed class. The Gandhians criticized the capitalist mode of production. They wanted the renewal and promotion of village and small-scale industries. In the political field, they proposed a decentralized democracy based on self-sufficient village panchayats. All these ideologies have some influence on the Constitution of India. Besides these ideological and philosophical commitments, the Constitution of India continued the constitutional developments that took place under the British. Retaining the basic precepts of the Government of India, Act 1935. Dr. Subhash Kashyap observes, the Constitution of India is an excellent patchwork. It is unique in many ways. It cannot be fitted in any particular model. It is a blend of the rigid and flexible, federal and unitary and presidential and parliamentary. It attempts a balance between the fundamental rights of the individual on the one hand and the socio-economic interests of the people and security of the state on the other. Indian Constitution is partly rigid and partly flexible. Indian Parliament has given the power to amend many provisions of the Constitution by a simple majority, as it required for general legislation. Some other provisions may be amended by a special majority of the Indian Parliament. Example: a majority not less than 2/3 of the member of the each house present and voting, which again must be a majority of the total membership of the house. A very few provisions of the Indian Constitution required a further ratification of not less half of the state legislatures for its amendment. The Indian Constitution is one of the longest written constitutions in the world and was adopted on January 26, 1950. Some of the salient features of the Indian Constitution are: Preamble. The preamble of the Indian Constitution reflects the philosophy of the Constitution. It states that India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic nation. Federal system. The Indian Constitution provides for a federal system of government where power is divided between the central government and the state governments. However, India is often referred to as a quasi-federal system, as the central government has more power in certain areas. Fundamental rights. The Constitution guarantees certain fundamental rights to its citizens, such as the right to equality, freedom of speech and expression, and the right to life and liberty. Directive principles of state policy. The Constitution also lays down directive principles of state policy, which are guidelines for the state to follow while making laws and policies. These principles aim to promote social justice and economic welfare. Independent judiciary. The Indian Constitution provides for an independent judiciary, which is responsible for interpreting the Constitution and laws. The Supreme Court is the highest court of the land. Parliamentary form of government. India has a parliamentary form of government where the Prime Minister is the head of the government and the President is the head of state. Universal adult franchise. The Constitution provides for universal adult franchise, ensuring that every citizen of India above the age of 18 has the right to vote. Emergency provisions. The Constitution has provisions for emergency situations such as national emergency, state emergency, and financial emergency. Fundamental duties. The Constitution also lays down fundamental duties that every citizen must follow, such as respecting the Constitution, promoting harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood, and protecting the environment. By the 42nd Amendment in 1976, upon the recommendations of the Swarn Singh Committee. Local self-government. The Indian Constitution provides for local self-government, which means that local bodies such as municipalities, panchayats, and urban local bodies have the power to make decisions related to local issues. Gender equality. The Constitution ensures gender equality by prohibiting discrimination on the basis of gender and providing for equal pay for equal work. It also reserves 1/3 of the seats in local bodies for women. Thank you.